And we're live, hopefully we've got sound, hopefully everything's going to work. Oh, good. Right, so am I okay? This is, yeah, once I get going, let me just double check. Yeah, that's coming in green in BeatSheet Studios. I think I'm confident that this should be all right. But yeah, thank you for saying, because, sorry, live stream, we're just doing some pre-release, pre-launch troubleshooting. I do see some chat though. Hey, John Michael Melendez, how are you? George, I'll add your question to the stream when we get to it. Hello and welcome to Quest TV Application Lab number 25. I'm not in my usual setup today, so it's all a bit all over the place. This is where we talk about Shoot, BeatSheet, Video Pencil. I'm broadcasting my own camera on YouTube, but there is also a Zoom session going, but the Zoom window will stay private, so I'll dial in if there's any questions coming from Zoom as well. Now, hopefully we can, oh yeah. This is my morning. I'm in Edinburgh. So that was on my run today. Just at you can see Arthur's Seat, sorry, is up here. So that was me this morning. So I'm in an Airbnb trying out the area. And that means I'm currently in the living room of an Airbnb set up on a piano. I've got my laptop, I've got Shoot on the camera, I've got Video Pencil, and we'll just see how it goes. It's good to sort of stress test this setup, I think, anyway, because I did find some stuff. I'm using the teleprompter built into Shoot today, for example. So I don't know why it keeps putting the picture-in-picture like that. We've got BeatSheet Studio Bugs. Let me know if there is anything you want to cover during the session. I see a nice bit of appreciation for the Scotland. Let me know if there's anything you want to cover. I see we've got one question in chat, high class as well. I'll keep an eye on that, but I've got my little program as well that I'll run through as well. So if I can keep the right window in focus, the stream, things wanted to be connected, so I haven't got the Stream Deck. I do have it, but like I'm not using it, and so which means I have to keep coming back to the BeatSheet window. yes, as I say, I'm running everything through BeatSheet Studio, which is still in beta. I'm also doing everything on like a mobile rig for the first time. So if I disappear, just hold on a sec and I'll be back within a few seconds as I kind of like jump into Xcode, restart it, or unplug something and plug something back in, or quit Ecamm, or whatever it takes. Hopefully my audio is in sync because I was having some issues with that. I've had to give up on the BeatSheet sound today for whatever reason. It was being weird in a new way at 20 minutes to live. So, what are we looking at? So here was the first thing I was going to cover today. So I'm just going to look at it on the iPad. So I've had this question. Let's go over. Oh, we don't want face follow when we have a picture to the side, do we? In fact, we want sort of a content aware face follow. OMG. I'm actually going to the FaceTime camera. This is a disaster. At least I can still see my teleprompter. So this was from Jeff, who wanted to know about fonts and changing fonts in BeatSheet. And like, why didn't I just do that in the first place? Well, it's a bit more of a complex situation than you might first imagine. I don't want it, and it's something I'm trying to bring a bit of design thinking to, really, but just to sort of go over it. So the idea of being able to change fonts. So when you see these titles coming up, this here is coming from BeatSheet. It also works with BeatSheet Studio, but we're talking about BeatSheet today, which is already available, works well, but it's more designed. It's a bit less self-contained than BeatSheet Studio. So you need to, you'll be controlling Ecamm, you'll be controlling OBS with it. I just want to see if I can get my shoot camera back because I can't live with the, okay, here we go. Face follow is off. I can come over here. We can relax. So the first of the issues here was, one, there was a contrast issue. So if you've got white slides, your company happens to have a sort of like white black brand, and you want your text to come over that, there's going to be legibility of issues. I mean, I've got the drop shadow on here just to sort of give it a little bit of scope for different things. But even here, over a little bit of a busy background, you can see it's struggling a bit, isn't it? What did I just do, George? I used Video Pencil. Oh, to get the camera working. Oh no, do you know what it was? It was showing me that a different shoot camera wasn't available, but then I just had to scroll up the list of cameras and the one that I'm using actually still was available. So all I did was just not be stupid. So there's two aspects. There's contrast and, contrast, and there is like brand fonts. So you might have, you might want to, if you want to put it over a white background, then just the white with a drop shadow is going to be a bit of a pain. You don't really want that. But the other thing is brand fonts, and there's some stuff I've been thinking about with that. So if I sort of like, am I going to be able to perhaps share my freeform window? What happens when I click that? Do you see, the freeform window is hidden. Is that why it's not? Oh no, that's the audio from freeform I've just shared. Okay, let's try this. So here are the notes on font color. Things we have to think about with font color include, so we talked about the drop shadow a little bit. It's like, do I actually want to give you the ability to fully change the font color, like to any color, or is it just like light or dark mode? Do we need like the concept of a master layout? Like, or is it just sort of like per slide, or like, how does that work? Do we end up turning into Keynote where you can have loads of different slides? How do we, can we like detect the content, like the overall color of the content, to sort of save that being a configuration setting? That could be possible and worthwhile potentially, but it's also like easy to automatically get wrong as well. So, we don't want to go too far down that rabbit hole if we can avoid it. But actually, like, finding out their overriding color isn't too hard to do. In fact, all you do is squish the resolution of an image down and then to 1 pixel using like whatever the content scaling algorithm is, and just say, what color is that? And like, so you're sort of leaning on the whatever the Zalfkos filter or whatever it's called. So it's not that hard to do. Or do we have like a concept of accent color or something? But like, ultimately, I think actually, let's not go too crazy with this. I'm going to just have a little toggle, which is this light or dark? And then if you multi-select cards and change that toggle, it's gonna change it on all of them, and it's just gonna remember as you add cards like what the last setting was. And we're just gonna sort of keep it smart like that, keep it simple. And I'm sharing a window which is not great for the picture-in-picture in Beat Sheet Studio at the moment. So there is a bug I need to fix. And also I want to make sure I can see the chat. So that's sort of what I'm thinking for the like I think I'm going to keep it quite simple for the color, just like, you know, like is it light or dark, and we'll just have a little toggle in there, and that can be per slide, but you can multi-select to change it. But of course, like I'm saying that here so that like if anyone can think of a use case where that wouldn't be enough, like this is where to kind of like either live in the session or in the comments of this video or in the chat now, like just sort of like give me some thoughts if you can see any shortcomings with that. What are we on here? So the next thing I got was, oh no, and we're talking about color. Yeah, so let's go back to this and talk about, oh man, it's so annoying not having a Stream Deck. Talk about font selection. So some of the things I've been thinking about, oh look, now I'm picture-in-picture. It's beta. So when you're selecting a font, what are you interested in? Because currently I have the header font and then I have the bullet points. So there's two different things, and but they are two different types of font presentation in most situations. You're going to have like you probably have a bold weight font, and then often you'll use a different font for the sort of body text. So it wouldn't be unlikely to have two completely different font families there either, if there was some certain style guide. So I'm thinking like primary, secondary font. So that gives me a bit of scope in future to add more stuff in beyond the bullet points, maybe not, but rather than just like sort of naming it like bullet points or, you know, main things. But then like, do we just sort of, do we need a master layout? And if we do have a master layout, maybe there's some concept of adding a watermark into that as well. Or do we start having different layouts? I'm sort of trying to avoid too much complexity like that. And then like the size, the sort of apparent size of those fonts is going to be, depends on the font, like the way the font is set up. Like, and you might want to be able to adjust the kerning to, you know, tighten it up a little bit or loosen it up. You might want to be able to adjust the line spacing, and that, like, relying on a font to expose those metrics reliably in an automatic way is actually like it rarely done well. So I think probably you have font selection, but then I also have to give you kind of like a bit of kerning, a little bit of this. So you can see how it instantly sort of starts to get a bit more complex than you might think. Something I was also thinking was like, perhaps we bundle the font in the file, because a lot of companies, you know, the designers have the brand fonts, but like, the client managers, whoever it is, account managers might not have that font installed on their machine. And it's like actually kind of dealing with that can be a bit of a pain. So what if I could just like, you stick the font just sits in the package with the rest of the stuff, and then you've got your sort of bulletproof branded template that you can share around the company and not worry about if that user's got that font installed on their system. But then of course you get this like licensing question, like, are you actually allowed to do that? So I think if I did embed it, you would have to check a box that says I am allowed to do this. It's not my fault. Like if you like sent your font around and it escaped and you're sort of so maybe some legal boilerplate would be necessary for me to do that. For some reason, in terms of like digital content, fonts seem to be doing really well. Unlike musicians, fontographers seem to have the sort of licensing stuff a lot more robust than the musicians and the other sort of digital artists. But yeah, so another thing I'm thinking, like, this is maybe a little bit of a tangent, but something I've been thinking about. Currently I have a sort of, the size is set for the sort of visible area, but what if I just sort of used a bit of, person detection to actually just flow the titles and bullets around the presenter, so it sort of doesn't like hit your head. So if you're kind of here, like it's not going to be sort of going over your face, and that's something I could do as well. But then, so we've got the container metrics as well as the line spacing and all this other stuff. But what I've sort of settled on, to be honest, is new menu, slides menu, and just primary font. and then maybe this has a panel on it, and then I can put like maybe a scale option if you're happy for your presentation to like have smaller text. I just have it like a global scale down, which means I've got 3 different places that I'm giving you the ability to change a font size, and it's getting out of hand, and I'm wondering if they're actually connected or if they're all orthogonal connections. But yeah, I'm just thinking like, let's add a slides menu where you can just pick a primary font and a secondary font. Maybe not a secondary font, maybe just the primary font, and maybe like there's a check. I think there's a panel there that I don't know if I want it to be the default system font panel. I think I might want it to be like a bespoke one that doesn't give you all that random stuff that the system one gives you. So that's kind of my thinking on fonts. So the next question was, let me just I keep losing Windows. I'm going to close this document actually so that I can get my Windows back. See if anyone's around. I think it's not using my shoot camera again. Is this? Oh no, it's just turned off. We've turned off face follow. Should we have it back? It is fun face. Oh no, it is fun face follow. Okay, well, it just adjusted something else. Okay. What were we talking about? Oh, that was a bad decision because I need that to be per slide, don't I? So if we come back to here, the next question I had, this was another one. So if you're wondering where this is coming from, by the way, it's coming from the Discord. We have a shoot suggestions channel, a beat sheet suggestions, a video pencil suggestions, and now there's a video shoot studio. Beat sheet studio suggestions on the Discord. So I'm trying to sort of create threads for all of those so that if lots of people want something, I can quickly see that there's a discussion around that and sort of prioritize that on the roadmap. That's once I get back onto the roadmap, because at the moment I'm just trying to ship. Anyway, this was another message saying, I've appreciated all the info available in both Shoot and Video Pencil camera user guides, or Video Pencil user guides, I guess. I went looking for a beat sheet user guide and found there was none. Inside beat sheet, I used the help menu item and it told me there's no help available for beat sheet. It was only because of watching the office hours videos about beat sheet one by one that I was able to learn how to display bullet points inside a card. Additionally, I wondered how to proceed because the menu item is called next card, but really I'm only progressing to another bullet on the same card, not actually the same actual card. It would make a better user experience for newcomers and others alike. So yeah, there's no new user manual. Why is there no user manual? Well, I'm not going to lie, it's just really time consuming to write a manual and it's not very fun. And it's like, I did it for Shoot, I did it for Video Pencil. There's been a lot of flux around beat sheet. So it's been sort of in the back, every so often I've been like, oh, I really need to start that beat sheet manual. And then 16 other things kind of like overtake it. But I'm really glad that Jeff has brought this up because like it's giving me the impetus to finally do it. And I've created the document today. And I spent an hour on it, and then I was like, oh, I hate writing so much. But like it's coming together. And the other thing is, yeah, like I have been leaning on these After Hours Labs a little bit to sort of document the products. So at the very least, if someone has questions, I can kind of deep link them into the playback and say, this is how you do it. Because like, if you're really good at software development, you shouldn't ship anything without documentation, right? This is just like not even an API, like nothing. But this is sometimes like when I'm moving very fast, and sometimes I add these features for me, and I don't know if they're going to actually go into the be mainstream features that everyone's going to use, and so then maybe I don't have the routine of automatically doing that, and then when you haven't got somewhere to put it. Anyway, these are excuses, which we are not going to make. The first thing is, the first part of that though was you did mention a bug. So if we have 2 bullets, the menu was saying, by the way, the feature is if you write bullets in beat sheet with a star, a space, it will generate an overlay that will kind of come through. You can put that through into Ecamm or wherever over NDI or Siphon. So that's what we're talking about here. So here I just went next, and it just, I went in backwards because sometimes. You can do these slides, but it's not really documented that clearly. And it's one of those things like sometimes you don't want to document it because you're like, maybe this UX could be, maybe I need like a proper add bullet point button rather than like relying on people to press start. Yeah. Anyway, sometimes these features go in, but luckily, right now we've got a place for it to live. So I will try and show you that without like docs. I'm only on one screen today as well. So I think I may have to go to the Apple store and get another iPad to use as an external display for next week, because it's actually a bit cramped trying to do it on one screen, even with the iPad. But yeah, we've got the BeatSheet user manual. It's not like published yet, but I thought I might just sort of take you through how far I've got. If I can share the window, back to BeatSheet, we're going to go share the window of this. Okay, and then we're going to come back. Right, so, and then we're going to try and like get rid of the bullets that are here just by doing that. So this is the BeatSheet user guide. It's sort of in the same format. I'm using Coda, by the way, which is great for this, so that I can publish. So you can do these dynamic documents, but like in my case, you can also publish them. But I find it really useful in terms of like editing, and sometimes I want to make something more data, and sometimes pasting in screenshots and stuff. So what we've got here is like the way I'm structuring it. So it gives you a bit of an overview. BeatSheet lets you plan and run, blah, blah, blah. And then we're sort of just going through the steps, how to create a document. Here, there's keyboard shortcuts here, how to use the templates. If you don't see the window, I need to, using templates, 3 templates, you'll have a prompt. Yeah, I'll finish. And then we've got working with streaming software, Ecamm Live, OBS, Mimo Live. We've got launching software, selecting, and then you see this nav is sort of like up here, so we can go through. I'm sort of talking about the boxes. So this is basically where everything's going to go. We've got like, what are cue cards? Think of a cue card as like a cue card used in a TV studio. So like, SNL's Wall-E. So it could contain a subject heading reminding you, like the host, what to talk about. It could have specific wording for part of a segment, with each card kept relatively short. Like if you wanted to actually like refine the wording. It could have your interview question, like that you're going to ask your guest. It could have some sort of like boilerplate calls to action or links or things like that you just need to sort of remember to say. And then like in lieu of a cue card guy, these cards will drive your teleprompter, and then we'll sort of get into that later in the manual. You'll progress through the cards using a keyboard shortcut or a Stream Deck or other remote control. And then with BeatSheet, you can add smart features to these cards, like automatically switching to a different scene in your streaming software, displaying a simple heading, graphic or animated sequence of bullet points. You can trigger any app that can be controlled by a URL to do anything. This was going to be OSC. So you can do OSC features of other apps, OSC based functions of other apps. You can like switch to and then there's some sort of caveats around like Video Pencil camera. You can switch to a screen share or a video or image, like that kind of thing on Video Pencil. And yeah, we sort of mentioned that sort of requires some extra steps. And then we've got some stuff about creating cards and so on. Like some secrets, you may not know this, but if you select a bit of text and press Alt Command down, you will split that card. OSC is a, let's add to broadcast. OSC is it's a messaging standard that sort of came out of music. So musicians use MIDI, which is a way of like controlling musical instruments. OSC is a sort of more advanced way of controlling a more wide selection of things. But so if you have like a lot of software will have the ability to sort of send messages to it. And these are basically, you give it a command, you give it some data, it sort of knows what to do with that. So I know that's, I think there's Mimo Live has some of that, does it? I'm not sure. There's some different, not as many apps as I thought would have it, that actually use it as I thought they would, but it's just a sort of very industry standard way of messaging between apps if you don't want to do it by triggering URLs. Anyway, this is a little feature. You might not know, move selected text to a new card. So you can just select some text on your card, split it out into another card. So if your cards are getting a bit long, it's really quick with the keyboard just to do that. I've got a little note on pasting from other apps. If you select the stuff in, and as long as you click like outside the card, you're going to be able to just automatically break that across cards. We've got some instructions on adding titles, like the keyboard shortcut for creating the titles, the navigation on the side. So you see, like, I'm sort of getting through there. But something else that I spent some time on today was just like for future for future reference in a way is like comparison with BeatSheet Studio. What does BeatSheet do? And what will BeatSheet do and what does BeatSheet Studio do? So if I just kind of go over that. So both of them let you make cue cards for your teleprompter. Both of them give you this desktop hub. Both of them let you, like I'm doing now, like you can use a teleprompter via Shoot. Both of them let you kind of use your teleprompter in Video Pencil, but like for BeatSheet, you have to kind of do it by another app in order for that to work. In terms of triggering scenes, they can both trigger Ecamm Live scenes, OBS, Mimo Live layer sets. They can trigger URLs, OSC messages again. They can both toggle screen shares, although it's kind of painful with BeatSheet. You need this other app, and basically this app is going to sort of like start disappearing as soon as I can make it disappear in favor of BeatSheet Studio. So like, we'll see how that goes. It'll be like, maybe it'll still be in the App Store, but maybe not like updated. I don't know. But yeah, trigger Video Pencil Media, you can load something in. And then titles and graphics. Yep, both of them do that. Both add bullet points, both can add graphics. Both have a siphon output. I haven't quite got it working in Video Pencil, in BeatSheet Studio yet. And then the NDI actually no for BeatSheet Studio because there isn't the same use case. The use case for it here is that you get a transparent overlay that you bring into the rest of your stuff. And also I couldn't have Siphon in Video Pencil Camera because it's in the Mac App Store. So I want, because I'm distributing BeatSheet Studio outside of the App Store, I can just lead on Siphon. We just don't have to bother with NDI because there's a lot of headaches with NDI as a developer anyway. So you'll actually be able to do exactly the same thing with fewer steps, fewer installing things, but it still will be supported in BeatSheet as the main way to get stuff out. Documents, you can share your scripts in both apps. You can, like if you name your scenes something specific and you send it to someone else running Ecamm Live and they maybe they have a different setup, but they have the same scene names, it will still find it. So if you share your scene thing, but they have different user IDs, it'll still sort of like work. But, and this is a major thing, the media isn't included in the BeatSheet document. It's sort of more like OBS or Ecamm, where it sort of like relies on the files being in the right place. And that's just sort of like, it's streaming like related legacies. It was never really intended to be a sort of portable format. And so it's just like not really designed that way. So a big innovation for BeatSheet Studio was, okay, well, let's make these docs completely portable and actually kind of build it from the ground up for people to be able to share these things around companies and things. And then like exclusive stuff to BeatSheet Studio in the future. So stuff that won't make it into BeatSheet. By the way, let's aside this. By the way, like both of these apps are still fully in development in parallel. And in fact, bug fixes and changes and improvements that go into BeatSheet Studio will also sort of show up in BeatSheet. So things like that, like it said next card when it should have said next bullet. That was a fix that is now going to be fixed across both apps. So there's a lot of like the day-to-day improvements that you're going to see sort of filtering back into BeatSheet as well. But just, remember like BeatSheet is this one-off purchase. You've got it forever, but it's sort of designed for streaming software. BeatSheet Studio is more of a kind of one-stop shop. Like you could do everything with this. So the virtual camera output, no, it's not going to be in BeatSheet. That's what BeatSheet Studio is all about. The automatic Video Pencil connection, no, like you can sort of do it with, it's just not in BeatSheet. The Video Pencil license is included in BeatSheet Studio when that comes out. Like I'm including Shoot, I'm including Video Pencil in that thing. Full Video Pencil control via Stream Deck. So all of the buttons and the sort of, you can select the different pens and things and you'll see what the color is on the Stream Deck button. That's all in that advanced BeatSheet Studio Stream Deck plugin. The automatic Shoot connection just is in BeatSheet Studio. Control the iPhone camera settings, that's just in there. The license is included as well, once we have a price. And then video playback as well, like you can't play videos from BeatSheet, but you can play them from inside BeatSheet Studio, sharing a second camera, all this kind of stuff, the advanced Stream Deck plugin. That's sort of like, that's what the point of BeatSheet Studio is. But meanwhile, like, if you're sort of like a bit more involved with BeatSheet, sorry, I didn't unaside myself. yeah, like there's loads of stuff you can do with BeatSheet, but it's just intended as a companion to your streaming software rather than a standalone all-encompassing solution. So that's how far I am up through the user manual. I know, like I've got to, I'm still working on it, but I will have that. Making promises. Am I going to make promises? I will admit, guys, the burnout is hitting me this week. My brain is at probably like 80%, 70% capacity this week after launch, after that shipping that beta last week. So please bear with me. Let's have a little break. I'll show you another little clip of Edinburgh. If it works. Oh no! BeatSheet Studio crash, but we'll try it again. Look, here's a nice little bit of Edinburgh for you. Can we loop that? Yeah, let's like come in and out. Let's loop that for you. And I just need to turn off my monitoring. So this is the city I'm enjoying at the moment. Right. Okay, I got another question. Why am I picture in picture? Let's try hitting this a couple of times. There we go. So I had someone ask on YouTube this time. I'm trying to create video. This is quite good. I can pick up my iPad and sort of read it. I'm trying to create videos of my art demos. I'm looking to use my phone as the primary camera and want to control the same on my iPad while I work, including live stream that I can watch while I work and also record the same on the iPad. Is this the right tool I should be looking for? So my response to this was like Shoot. This was on the Shoot YouTube channel. The short answer is not really, because Shoot is made for using with a computer, or actually like any HDMI stuff. Like it's really used, it's used for something with an HDMI input, let's say, or a Mac or a laptop. It's not really made to work with an iPad. So what I suggested was, like on the iPad, I did make some suggestions and I foolishly did not bring those in. So yeah, we're not going to find that. What I was going to say was something I was picturing a potential way of doing it, but this wouldn't get you the streaming, would be to actually like use Shoot's NDI output. So have like Video Pencil on your iPad and have Shoot as your camera, have the NDI into that, and then you can see the preview, and then you can do a screen recording on the iPad. Then you'd have a recording of what you were doing and you'd be using the Shoot camera, but it's not great, and also you're not going to be streaming. So just in terms of actually being able to live stream what you're up to, the answer to that is no. But I can sort of see the appeal of just, imagine if it was just iPad and iPhone and we could even take the Mac out of the equation. And especially with M1 Macs, M1 iPads, M2 iPads, it's like, do we start sort of looking in that direction? I don't know. But for now, it's a computer-based thing, and I think that's probably where I'm going to sit. So that's the sort of answer to that question. You're going to see a bit of like jitter, because Ecamm has got a new timecode base, and which it doesn't like. And so we'll just try and make it through the rest of the thing. Right, there was a question from, there was a question. Okay, so I saw this. George Wood could use preference panel. Not my favorite. I mean, that would be like global to the entire app, right? And I'm sort of picturing that you want to be able to sort of switch. If you want to share a document, that can't really be in the preferences. It has to be sort of part of the document one way or another, that setting, because otherwise, like, someone else is going to open your carefully designed presentation, it's going to have the right fonts, and then it's just going to look all wrong because they've got different setups. So it does have to be document. It can't really be sort of in preferences, in the sort of app preferences. And also, like, we're sort of trying to avoid that like Microsoft cop out of like everything being under settings in a checkbox. We're trying to sort of like make this feel like we've thought about it properly, right? Like, so that we're like, when you do it, it's like, okay, yeah, that makes sense, that fits there. Rather than it, I think like as soon as you start pushing things to the preferences, then, well, I mean, maybe you didn't mean that. I'm sure you didn't. I'm sure you've, but like this is I'm trying to sort of avoid it. Like it needs to find the right place, and sort of the settings screen is like the last resort for me usually. I see, let's add this. I'll see if I can respond to this. So George says, I'm interested in using these products to read a page of text at the beginning of a Zoom meeting and to show a piece of paper that I'm writing on during a Zoom Pictionary game. This, I think this is quite a nice use case. Something we've got, I mean, I'm going to talk about BeatSheet Studio because it's going to be really cool that you can do it in BeatSheet Studio. So you're just going to be able to, if you've got a second iOS device, so if I'm on I'm using my phone as my camera, I can have a second device, and I can just use that as the second camera and have that as my overhead camera, and I can be picture in picture or not down there. So you could just have like your second camera, and then you can sort of go back, and it could be your main camera, and you can also sort of have your text that you're going to read out, and you can either choose to put that on the screen, or you can like just have it in your teleprompter. So it's going to be super easy with BeatSheet Studio. With the current iteration of things, like OBS, Ecamm, you could easily use Shoot as a second camera for your overhead camera. In fact, it's like probably the easiest way to do. There's a number of reasons. Shoot is, using your phone as the overhead camera is an advantage. First of which is, we're going back to face follow, by the way. I want to be in the middle. The first of these is, and I also want to make sure that it's selected. So the first of these is, I mean, I don't know if you've ever tried to mount a DSLR overhead. They're heavy. I had to buy a C-stand. This thing is huge. Like, you have to buy a thing and a rig to sort of go to hang over your stuff. And the second problem is like focus. It's kind of a pain to like have to deal with focus when you can't reach the camera. And so, I mean, I found this with my big DSLR, which didn't have really remote control. But obviously with Shoot, you've got your remote control. You can either lock the focus plane on the thing that you're showing, which I would recommend. So you can just sort of press and hold, or you can use the remote browser controls, or you can use your Apple Watch to just find the plane of the paper and just keep focus locked on that, and probably exposure as well, so your hand doesn't keep messing with it. And then it's like, if you're using Ecamm, I don't know, like George, what do you use streaming software at the moment? Is there a thing that you want to integrate into, or are you sort of like is a blank slate, you're just sort of deciding what to start with? Yeah, so George has a... I have an iPhone, pointed at the paper, and I have another D850 on a heavy stand as well. But yeah, like it gets crazy, doesn't it? Like when you're trying to mount, and I have got the stuff to do it, but like it's a bit crazy. So I would put the iPhone on the overhead thing, and then I don't know if you're using Ecamm, I don't know if you're using OBS, but you can just set up a couple of scenes. One with the overhead view, one with the your face to camera view, and then you can either like have a scene with the thing you're reading out, or you can create a slide in BeatSheet and in future BeatSheet Studio that will have the thing you're reading out. If you want that to be up on screen at the same time. If you don't, you can just sort of paste it into a card in BeatSheet, and then you can sort of read that off. And if you've got a teleprompter, okay, Zoom and OBS. Okay, so OBS, just set up a couple of scenes in OBS, and then you can sort of switch to the one you want using BeatSheet. So if you've got sort of a run of show, then you can just sort of set that up. So I think that's So let me know if that makes sense. But I think we're we're at 36 minutes. It hasn't been too catastrophic. I keep losing the ISO setting a little bit. Let's maybe try and sort of bring that up. See if that looks any good. It's a bit contrasty. I think in some future iteration of Shoot, I'm going to bring in some proper like image, just like desaturation, contrast controls, as well as all this stuff. LUTs. Yeah, so use a run of show in Beat Sheet. Exactly. Yeah, and then just use that to drive OBS to the different scenes that make most sense for what you're showing. Righty-ho. So has anyone got any thoughts? We've got a bit of Zoom. We've got a bit of YouTube chat. Let me just see if I've got any stuff. This is me, Michael at Squares TV. You can email me. I will sometimes get back to you quicker than other times, but I will get back to you. If you do want to try the BeatSheet Studio beta, that's still running, just drop me an email as well. We've got a Discord. Please come and join that if you're interested in all this stuff. If you just go to squares.tv, it's not a very big link at the moment, but it's on there. Like, I probably need to make that a bit more of a primary. There's a lot of stuff fighting on the squares.tv homepage at the moment, so it's on there though. And so, yeah, thank you. I think, yeah, we've sort of covered a bit on BeatSheet. We covered a bit on, it's been fairly chaotic today. I'm on the burnout. I'm in a weird place. I've had to sort of solve new kinds of technical problems. I'm on like a wireless Go thing. I tried to use my delay calculator today, and it was like the audio was like half a second behind the video. And I was like, oh my God, I don't even know what to do about that. And then I tried it again, and then it worked. And then I tried to use like the virtual mic wasn't working, and then Black Hole wasn't even working, and like all these new problems were appearing. It doesn't work on the network. It worked for a bit on this Wi-Fi network here, but then I had to just go, okay, we just need to have USB cables plugged in just to make sure we don't lose that. That's a nice thing about the connection with BeatSheet Studio and stuff. So, I've got through it, I think. I will answer George's last question. What is the best setup for doing a show? I mean, that's a wide-reaching question, but I would say, okay, and a follow-up, do you have a list of recommended equipment for Mac, iPhone for a portable studio? Right, listen, like, in answer to that, like, my whole thing is, these are, like, devices that you can just, like, do different things. So, like, an iPhone, an iPad, and a Mac gives you an awful lot of flexibility, and what I'm doing is creating software that unlocks what they are capable of and trying to make that simple and straightforward to do. So Shoot lets you use the phone as the webcam. iPad lets you have this whole sort of dimension of being able to draw on what you're doing and bring in graphics, and I can load in, like if I'm talking, I can go, hey, look at this person doing a crazy dive, and I can talk about it, and I can swipe through it, and I can draw around them, and I can zoom in. Like, you've got all this sort of like power just in your hands to sort of switch cameras and do that. And then the Mac is obviously a bit more of a powerhouse where you're actually running your streaming software and Zoom and whatever else you're doing. I would probably say a second screen is essential. Like, that's the biggest thing that I'm fighting with today, is that I'm on one monitor, and then I just wish I usually share the second monitor, and that's just, it makes things complicated. So as you see, I was selecting individual windows and then coming up against that. But to be honest, like I mean I have, but then you start to sort of go, oh, I need a better camera. Like, this image is like, it's fine. Like, it's the front camera on my iPhone 13 Pro. It's fine, but it's not like a Canon. But, the Canon I have is like, what, secondhand it was £1,800, like $2,000. Like, this is not affordable technology. Like, it's for something that's only a camera. If you're not a professional photographer, if you're not using it all the time, it's too much, really. Whereas your iPhone, it might be like $1,000, but like you're using it for everything all day long, and you're able to use it as a webcam. So, I mean, if your budget is unlimited, I like a Canon. I like the Canon color science. I've got an R6. Go crazy, get an R5. You get all the nice autofocus. You get that. But Sony's, they're nice. They're probably nicer these days. But I sort of started with Canon, and you start spending money on lenses and all that. But yeah, microphone. That's the other main thing. So don't, as long as you've got a good microphone. I like the Rode stuff, so Rode USB microphones. I've got a couple of different ones. I actually bought like a fancy new Rode NT like 32-bit floating point thing, but then I missed the previous microphone I had because it didn't have a audio, like a headphone socket. So like my other Rode has a headphone socket, so I'm able to just like be a bit more self-contained, whereas this way I'm like having to do all extra audio stuff. But yeah, just do that. I'm not going to give you like an in-depth thing. Rob Rusher, who is someone I'm collaborating with on content at the moment, will be able to kind of give you a lot more on that as well. And office hours, if you find that, if you have a look at the email, if you've got the email, sort of have a look in the office hours community, you can ask that question, or the infinite variations on that every day, and you'll get a lot of experts giving you really good advice, much better than I can, who have tried a lot more different things. I've been like, I can just about afford this thing and I like it, you know. Whereas this is like industry professionals that have been doing it for years and they sort of know all the ins and outs of everything. So that would be my recommendation. And you know, just in regards, what's the best setup for doing a show? It's like, depends on the show, but obviously Beat Sheet Studio is coming soon to a Mac near you, and then it'll be the easiest way to run an amazing show for everyone. So that is my marketing for you. Look, we're at 45 minutes. Thank you everyone for joining. Thank you for your attention. I hope this was tolerable and bearable and had a vague veneer of something resembling professionalism. I feel very wrong-footed today, like everything's a bit awkward. I'm going to make shoot into a fully fledged preview window. And then I'm going to take over the world. Thanks everyone for joining. I'll see you on Discord. I'll see you on email. I'll see you. I need a good sign off. I'll see you when I see you. Take care. I'm going to jump off everything simultaneously to make it cool. All right. Cheers everyone. Thanks, Tony.